How you doing? It is LA Lloyd today. We got Duff McKagan. It's been forever since he co-hosted the show because we've never had him here as co-host.
Co-host.
Right. You're going to be co-host.
I'm a co-host.
Co-host for the next 3 hours, man.
Nice, man.
So we're glad to have you here. We got a lot to talk about, including your new solo album. So let's jump right into that, man. I mean, I after sitting here at the Scoot Inn, it just seems like the perfect setting for you and Shooter and the band. I mean, this is, outside Austin. I mean, I think this is going to be a really great show tonight.
Yeah, I've done outside Austin with Velvet Revolver before.
Right.
And there's kind of, there's no pun intended, there's an air to that, to playing outside in Austin.
Right.
I played
Stubbs.
No, I played the other place. Is it Emos?
Emos? Yeah.
Yeah, I played that.
Oh,
with
you played
Loaded.
Emos. Wow.
Yeah. I played the Punk Rock
I didn't
Club.
go to that show. I wish
It was
I'd have
Loaded.
been there.
That was probably 1999.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But I like this town a lot. I've been coming here for a long time, Guns N' Roses included, this tour with Shooter and playing like this place with Shooter. I've never played the Scoot Inn.
Yeah.
Some of these places we're playing like we played at Thalia Hall in Chicago.
Right.
It's beautiful. 1892. This place built. I've
Wow.
never played there, and I've always kind of wanted to. We played some places up in the Northeast, like city wineries, where people are sitting down.
Wow.
And I told the first crowd, it was D.C. I think we played, and I said, you guys, I've never played to an audience sitting down.
Right.
There was nice candles, and my
man.
wife had just told me right before we went on. I'm like, I don't know what to do. She said, her and I went to this club in Seattle one night. Mm-hmm. This is called the Jazz Alley, and we saw some Cuban jazz.
Yeah. Where
our kids were small, and we went and we got a babysitter, and we went to this club and sat down and watched. And she goes, "Do you remember what a good time we had? And we were off our feet.
Yeah.
And we had we could order some drinks and we had some food." And I'm like, yeah, that was really what these people are doing.
Wow.
Their kids are at home. They've worked all week. It's Friday night. They're going to come sit down. So
man,
just be in that moment with them.
You got to love a wife that can set the mood perfectly for you mentally, man.
She's always says the perfect thing to me, man.
Yeah.
She really does. And touring this record and these songs with Shooter and his band is, there's no reason for me to do a record right now.
Right.
Like I'm in the middle of my band's back together.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses back together,
Yeah.
and it's like my bros, these songs we came up on, and these things that made us all, and made me, but I think we probably talked about it before. Observations I made, I can't help but be an observationalist because I started writing that Seattle Weekly column in 2008 or 7 or whatever, and it was a weekly column. And when you're a columnist weekly, you start to observe things. You got to write about something new every week. And I became this. I just got out of school right before Velvet Revolver. Really, I had to read. It was heavy, like business school.
Yeah.
I became a critical thinker.
Right.
And I became a critical thinker in all my reading. I read a ton of history. So I'd read like 4 sides of the same Gettysburg.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to. The truth is in there somewhere, right? You can't depend on one author's view, or although they try to do their best. And so observing and being a critical thinker and going out on that Guns tour at a time that was, I got sucked down the rabbit hole of all of I did it, man. I was just that sucker. Like I started watching all of the 3 different cable news networks.
Right.
And it was like October-ish 2015. The debates were happening, and this new catchphrase, the divide.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what is this divide? I've been touring this country since punk rock band since 1981.
Yeah.
And really, like, I get out there, and especially now, like, because I read so much history. Last 25 years, I go out and see places, historical places, and when you do that, you talk to people.
Right.
And I go to diners and I do stuff and I go off the beaten track of a tour.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, the Guns N' Roses guy's here. I'll go to Monticello. We're playing nowhere near there. Little Bighorn. We're playing nowhere near there.
Wow, that's cool.
My point to that is I was this divide thing, and I read so much history. There has been catchphrases used before, to this time was to sell news, which was a little as kind of a journalist myself, because of a columnist, I thought that was a rather base, crappy thing to do.
Right.
But for people to stump on politically as well. And I went out on the road. My point to all of this, I went out on the road, and our first Guns N' Roses' first tour was America.
Yeah.
And I turned off all the news, and I muted everybody that I foolishly started to follow from watching all these news shows. I muted them all and went back to just following the Seattle Seahawks and the Seattle Mariners. Why I got Twitter in the first place.
Right.
And went out and talked to people and saw all my nerdy historical places. And there was a sigh of relief. This divide that we're talking about it's just not there, man.
Yeah.
And the America that I know and love, and I'm a proud American, is still there and alive and well. We care for each other and we work with each other. And even if you're a city person, if you work in a restaurant, you get your produce from the country,
right.
and we all interwork with each other. And
somebody falls down, you reach out your hand and pick them up.
Totally, and
right?
and we do that around the world.
Yeah,
we really do. But so I started observing this stuff and the divide and this. And I started writing pieces about it.
Yeah.
For my third book.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, I was sitting with acoustic guitar one night, the rare occasion that I'm in my hotel room. I carry acoustic guitar with me at all times.
Okay.
And I started playing the two chords that became It's Not Too Late. And it was a starting of a chapter.
Right.
Those words.
Okay.
So there's meaning behind this, we're doing some nonprofit stuff behind this for mental health and opioid addiction and homelessness and whatnot. So that's a really something so why a record now?
Right.
Why the hell? It's I wanted to make this austere sort of musical piece of something I want to do for a long time, this kind of music.
I mean, it's for you. You did it for you, but at the same time, you're still giving something back. I mean, that's the great thing about it. I mean, obviously, you had some words to say, which turned into songs, and I know it was a whole deal of getting it all together, but it seems like at the end of the day, now it's all done and you're out here on the road, it seems like, well, I got that part done for me, now I can start giving back to everybody else. Is that right?
And I hope my intention for the record, was to heal, and not point fingers, just like him, you guys, there's some issues out there. There's an opioid epidemic, there's homelessness, and there's this and that. But together, the things that we've always progressed in this country is by us.
Yeah.
We, the people, we're the ones we're the bosses, and we're the ones who are, we help each other, and it's one person helping one other person. We can't solve all huge issues right now. It's one person helping somebody else.
I got to tell you, though, man, you have got a battle, as we all do as Americans and globally, because social media has really made that big divide, I think. I mean, and there's some great things about social media, don't get me wrong, but it's come a long ways from, like you said, following your favorite sports team or looking at dog and cat photos, too.
Right.
So, I mean, is there a way to kind of bring people back in and say, you're hiding behind this computer? Think about your words before you actually put them out there, because once they're out there, everyone sees them.
We haven't learned. We're in our infancy on social media and how to communicate there.
Right.
I dealt with that when I wrote, because my column for the Seattle Weekly came online too on their .com.
Okay.
And some people would write to my column, and when they had something crappy to say, they would use anonymous.
Right.
And I said, look, guys, here's the deal. I write this column with my name on top. If you're going to respond to me, great. I take criticism, no problem.
Yeah.
But use your name. Use your real name.
Right.
And this is how newspapers in America started the editorial page. I mean, there was like 4 newspapers to every little village,
Sure.
right? They didn't print, and they had an empty page on the back.
Right.
And so people would write about some article in the paper. They put their name, like John Smith, 9 Scuttle Lane, and their address.
Right.
And somebody would maybe respond to that. So we've been responsible in the past for our words,
right,
and put our name to it and put our address to it. and we just haven't learned how to do that with social media yet.
One thing I've noticed is just, how people can be so critical of, an artist's music or something like that. And then, like you said, they kind of come across anonymous. But my thing is, when I see stuff like that, I was like, would you walk up to Duff and say those same words to his face that you typed here, like on his Twitter site or something like that?
They will not.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, it's not just me, to each other.
Right.
And that's what I found on that tour when I went out for 2.5 years, not just in America but in the world. Like, we face to face, we have so much more in common with each other than separates us by a long shot.
Yeah.
And we treat each other cool, and whether it's in a gym, like, you spot the guy that's or out. I went. On one of those airboat things, looking for alligators in Louisiana,
okay.
And the guy's been doing it for 45 years.
Right.
And, the most, alligators like marshmallows. That made me think.
Had no idea.
Who knew that? And then you start thinking I'm like, is that where marshmallows got their name?
Right.
We're in the marsh.
I never thought about that.
But we didn't talk about politics at all, and crossing borders of states. One's not red and one's not blue.
Right.
It's the same America I've been touring since 1981.
Yeah.
And we treat each other the same, and we respect each other. And there's social media where some guy could go, "You suck," but his name is like, Porpoise 129. Like, who are you, man?
Right, right.
So I don't pay it. I really don't look at. I post things on Soundcheck. Krakow,
right.
A picture of Soundcheck. I don't look for responses. I'm not one. We're in this kind of like, is somebody liking me? How many followers do I got? If I lose followers, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we should just all get to that point. Like, doesn't matter. I think I heard somebody, my wife was saying, they're going to take away the likes or something like that on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Because it's creating this.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to tell you, I follow the not so much this tour yet. I will. But as you were documenting all the worldly places when you were on the Not in This Lifetime tour, I mean, you did an amazing job. Like I said, it's so cool seeing you stand on this empty stage, before everyone comes in. It's just you and just this shot of you, or maybe a video you put on Instagram. I love the way you document that stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm right there with you, man. So you kind of are telling a really good story.
Yeah. Getting to travel like that, it's a blessing. And my girls got to grow up traveling.
Yeah.
Like my daughter May, the youngest one. I did an interview with her the other day for Vogue magazine. She just had a line of clothes. She's a freshman in college.
That's
man.
awesome.
She's 18.
Yeah.
But she goes, I took my first steps on a tour bus. I'm like, you did, didn't you? But
wow, that really brings it home.
They got they had passports when they were infants.
Yeah.
We traveled the world, and there's different cultures, and there's different to celebrate. Things that go through my head. Like we'll play Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like that cool stadium where the college football team plays. And I'm like, wow, I'm playing here. I've seen these guys on TV before.
And here I am.
Here I'm playing this place, and you see the guy, with the devil horns up, and he's rocking out, losing himself in the music.
Yeah.
I'm playing Kuala Lumpur, a Muslim country. Same rock crowd, losing their minds, and women with full head coverings, with the same devil horns up, losing their minds.
That's great.
There's no difference.
What a life. What a life.
Right? And you start to see this like, oh, we're all in this together. Like, especially when it comes to, and if any bubble, we got these labels. No, you're in the bubble. You're a lefty. You're alt-right. All this crap, Like, are we really? No, I think, if there was any bubble I was in, it was one of really great. Like, we played these huge places all over the world. And people just came. Nobody asked who you voted for, or your politics, or your religion, or anything. It just came this umbrella of rock and roll.
Yeah.
That and these songs that people it was like this huge community every night we played. You know, like the band and the audience was in it together.
Well, let's talk about the album a little bit, because I know that's what we're here. We're going to play a couple of tracks, but tell me about Shooter. And I guess before we talk about how everything was in the studio, just tell me personally, you and Shooter's history.
Well, I met Shooter with his band Stargun, moved to L.A.
Yeah,
and I was down there from Seattle. There was some house party or something, and a friend of mine said this. There wasn't a lot of rock and roll bands in 2001. Rock music was going through a weird period. There's these young guys from Nashville, there's a rock band. So I went and saw him, and I met Shooter. I didn't know the Waylon connection or any of that stuff.
Oh, really?
But I recognized him then as, like, 1 out of 10 kids or 21. There's one of them that you know is a lifer. The other 9, you're like, if this doesn't work, they're out.
Right.
And I recognized Shooter then as a kind of a true believer guy. And then my band Loaded played some shows in L.A., and I got his band to open up.
Oh, okay.
And we got to know each other. He told me his story about his dad and his mom, and like, oh, that's a really cool way to grow up. You grew up going on tour, so you know what the deal is. And we remained friends. He even in Velvet Revolver, when we were looking for a singer, like, that's Shooter,
Yeah.
And Shooter, what I didn't know was, like, 2 of his biggest records that influenced his life. This shows our age difference. Is the 2 Illusions records of Guns N' Roses. Like, he knows those records backwards. He knows every liner note,
right?
Like by heart. Mm-hmm. Every lyric, everything. So he was kind of too freaked out, he said, to come try out, because there's Slash and me and Matt.
That's
so
awesome.
It's like, I don't think I'd be right for that thing.
Right.
So we've known each other, and when I had these songs, I'd written all these songs on the tour I was on. We were speaking of, and my manager said, "You got to make this. You got to do this now. Just do it. And we'll find somebody who can make this a reality."
Right.
And he came back to me like 2 days later, and he goes, "What about Shooter? Shooter wants to do it." I'm like, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
So, I got back from that leg of the tour, drove up to Shooter's house with my acoustic guitar. He had his piano up there, and we just started playing the songs and talking about instrumentation. He brought up, perhaps let's try 2 tracks with his band, with Aubrey and John and Jamie, and they were perfect. And once you add, like, pedal steel and fiddle into the song, it takes this whole kind of left turn into that sort of Americana-ish.
How did you feel about that the first time you kind of heard it?
Well, there's such beautiful instruments, and meanwhile, Shooter's doing, like, weird synth stuff, and the stuff he goes down the rabbit holes on, or like church organ, or
like a layering type thing. You mean?
Well, because we talked about, we did the record analog mostly, like on tape, right? Because we want this thing to sound timeless, and the way to do that is you kind of like got to go like 70s. We recorded the drums in stereo to any of you geeks out there that know about this stuff like us, and then put them into mono.
Okay,
so that's a classic old school technique. My vocal we went through a Beatles chain of preamps that Shooter knows all about. So there's no, like, on the vocal, there's no, obviously, auto-tuning. That's pretty obvious if you listen to the record. But it's a very bare vocal. Just and how did I feel about the instrumentation? I just thought it was wonderful. Like, we used some other guitar players too. Jonathan Wilson, who plays with Roger Waters. I'd heard a song by him on the radio, and I'm like, man, this guy is amazing. And he goes, Shooter, of course, knows everybody.
Right.
He goes, oh, I know that guy.
Let me call him.
He's out, and he was in Africa with Roger Waters, and he had a little rig, and he recorded his tracks. You can hear his AC turn on if you solo the track, and that's on Tenderness. So even the AC sound of his room gave that song
just a little ambience, huh?
A little ambience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so it shows we did the record fairly quick. The songs were done, and his band just really kind of understood the dynamic of each song, and it was wonderful.
I know you tell me that track listing obviously is still very important to you. And maybe it's because of that's the way we put a record on and we listen to it front to back when it was vinyl to CD to whatever it is.
Yeah. Still
important to you? I mean, because obviously consumers will throw it on Spotify or whatever, or download a song or something like that. So it seems like I hate to say the younger generation have kind of lost a little bit of that art of the track listing to appreciate it. But, what do you feel about it?
We slaved over the track listing.
Really?
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Shooter is very into vinyl and listening to a record all the way through.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, we paid a lot of attention. There was 5 of us. Shooter, myself, my manager, Mick Bob, who's been my bass tech for 32 years.
Wow.
He was there for the whole recording. We had and then Shooter's manager. We each had our track listing.
Yeah.
And they were all kind of different, so we had to settle on what we thought was the best. And Shooter has a really good ear for a movement on a full album.
Mm-hmm.
And what's been really cool, so surprising. The first week, the record's been out now for a week, and we went number 1 on vinyl in the country.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's like my manager showed me this list, and it had 1 through 10, and it had my name at 1.
Wow.
And I said, "It's just a list of the new vinyl that's out." He goes, "No, this is your number 1 in vinyl in the country, and number 1 at whatever the Coalition of Independent Music Sellers."
Okay.
With vinyl and CDs, so people are buying the physical product.
Yeah.
So maybe that track listing, is working because it is. It takes you through a journey.
We just went through another birthday without Prince here on this earth, and I know, man, you're well, I really didn't know about this till I saw some of your posts. I don't remember if it was Instagram or what it was, but I never realized till recently what a huge influence Prince was on you, and I was just kind of curious, maybe if you could talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, I was Prince. I discovered Prince. I was a punk rock kid playing punk rock bands, but at that time, 79 and 80, punk rock was this wide open thing where we listened to The Sweet and AC/DC and Motorhead and ABBA and just everything, right? Anything that was good and cool, right? And so a friend of mine said, "Man, you got to hear this guy Prince." At that time, I played drums and I played bass and I played guitar.
Okay.
He plays all the stuff like you do. But I heard I think it was Controversy Records, so maybe it was 80.
Wow.
And
that's going way back.
And it just freaked me out. And I went back and bought his first 2 records, Prince, and For You is the first record, and Prince. And I went down the rabbit hole. And 1999 came out, and there was a lot of heroin had come into Seattle at that point. It's about 83 or whatever, beginning of 83. And I would listen to that double record just over and over. And even my roommate was strung out. My girlfriend got strung out. Everybody in my band, everybody around me, it seemed the world was closing in on the heroin world. And there was a song on that record called Something in the Water You Drink. Apropos to nothing that was going on in my life, but just the mood of that song would kind of save me.
Wow.
And it really, that record gave me the courage. Somehow, some people say a record saved their life. This record didn't save my life, but it did. It gave me the courage to move by myself to LA.
Yeah. And
do something, get out.
Right.
While I could.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Great story. Thank you for sharing that today.
You're welcome.
Chip Away has been getting some radio airplay recently, and I know it's a lot of times when you go back to selecting a song that might go out to as a single, if you will. And that's always been kind of a hard question because, like, if you could always pick the right single, we'd all be gazillionaires. But when it came down to Chip Away or picking one that says, okay, this is one we're shooting out to radio or whatever source may play it, satellite radio, whatever. What's the selection process for a single this in 2019?
I don't think we chose a single. We just radio started playing that one, and it started with Outlaw Country. And then in the UK, I guess they're playing the crap out of that song.
Okay. So it just kind of happened organically then.
Yeah, we didn't serve. They call it service a single.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Right.
We did make a radio edit of that song.
Yeah.
Just in case, because I say some naughty
Drop
words.
the F-bomb occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, it's a good song. I'm glad to be playing it, man.
Yeah.
How about videos? Now, back when, like you said, the early days of Guns N' Roses, I mean, video, MTV was just really taking off. I mean, it was a really lot of thoughts most of the time that went into these videos.
Yeah.
We can pick up our phone right now and watch any video we want that's ever been pretty much created by any band. Is videos important to you still?
I think we should probably make a video. We've been so busy, with this whole thing, and I do have Guns N' Roses stuff going on, and I do have a family. And suddenly, like, we were on this tour, I'm like, should we have a video? So maybe we'll film something when we get to Seattle. I know some people there. Like, it's impossible. Like, how do we do a video on the road? Anybody out there? Well, this comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're good, like illustrator or something, or you like make cool cartoons,
you're putting it out there, huh?
Yeah, putting it out there. Make us a video.
You might get hit by a lot of people, man. Well, I tell you what. Let's do one thing before we close it out today, and we'll do an artist pick. Obviously, we'll play "Chip Away" since that's kind of the quote unquote single. But give me another one of your picks from the album. It can be two if you want to.
From my record.
Yeah, from Tenderness. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And tell me why you chose it.
Well, there's a song that really kind of I read J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy. I don't know if you know that book. It really struck me. They're making a movie of it now. My wife says I should work for studios because every book I read, there's a movie.
She's onto it.
She's onto it. It's called Falling Down.
Okay. I love it. All right, we'll definitely play that one, man. And for those of you traveling to Austin later in the year, we have our big festival here, the Austin City Limits Music Festival that Guns N' Roses is going to be playing at Zilker Park here in October. So I'm glad to get to see you here in a smaller venue tonight because, there's 50, 60,000 people a day, and it's unless
and I'll big time you there. Like I pretend like I don't.
Of course, so you want to? Oh, LA guy, get him out of here. Yeah. But get back and get some barbecue and feel like a Texan because you get 2 weekends here, which I think is really cool for bands that play ACL.
You know how happy I was when Stubbs finally they went national with the barbecue.
Oh,
sauce.
Really? So you're happy you can get it anywhere?
I mean, I know it's for Austinites, you'd be like, oh, you got to go to this other barbecue. Right. I get that every time.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to Stubbs. That's my joint.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Are you a foodie, or you like to cook yourself? I mean, you get to travel all over the world and sample all these different foods. What are your feelings on that?
I got to tell you, I eat really healthy, and if I'm not with my wife, I forget to eat. To be honest with you.
Wow.
So when my wife's on the tour with me, we go to really cool restaurants.
Yeah.
Talking, and we'll eat the local whatever.
Right.
You got to.
Yeah.
When you go to Kuala Lumpur,
right?
You can't get ham.
Yeah.
But you go to Abu Dhabi, you go to Johannesburg.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Food there is amazing, and all through Europe, Italy, you gotta have the good pasta. And but I'm not so much a foodie. Tonight for after show food, I'm getting Stubbs.
Okay. Is your wife on tour with you now?
No, she's not.
So you haven't been eating well, is what you're saying?
I just, I understand. I mean, I just worked out too. You're supposed to eat like within an hour and a half after you work out.
Yeah.
But I'm so like, where do I get something to eat?
Yeah.
My wife will go out and get something to eat.
She's good like that.
You have to eat.
Yeah.
Now. I don't get like crabby, so it's people can't really tell if I haven't eaten or not. I just start losing weight.
Well, you look very healthy, man. You look like you're.
Water.
Water's very much. So.
Water's key.
Yeah, you got to have it. So.
Yeah, I take vitamins. I do take care of myself, and I do eat. I don't starve myself. I don't want to come off like that. So, but I'll just eat that that meat and cheese, and that's
satisfies the appetite.
Does it?
Yeah.
I carry almonds with me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, one question I wanted to ask you also, you mentioned this earlier about when you went back to school, and, you know, the story I'd heard was, you know, like, obviously you'd done pretty well in your career with Guns N' Roses, then you had some time, obviously, outside of the band when that all kind of imploded there earlier, and you decided to go back to school. And was it economics or finance? I mean, because obviously,
Finance.
you know, you see so many people, celebrities especially, who have made a lot of money very fast, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later, they don't have any money anymore. I mean, was that kind of your wake-up call?
My wake-up call was getting sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wake-up call was in the intensive care unit at Northwest Hospital in Seattle, Washington.
That'll do it.
So I had a lot of time to think in the 2 weeks I was in that hospital. And one of the things I thought about was, I don't even know what money is.
Yeah.
And for the most part, none of us do. You know, I grew up in a blue collar. My dad was a fireman. There was 8 kids. You do the math.
Wow.
So I didn't know what money was. I come from punk rock. You know, I still live a very simple life. You know, if you were to hang out with me, you would. I don't floss. I don't. I've done well financially, and I went back to school. I went to school.
Right.
I got a GED. So
yeah. Okay.
people say you went back to school. No, I went to school. And I got so into it, and I'd made money in my 20s. I didn't know what a stock or a bond or what risk meant or what a mortgage really was.
Right.
And, you know, you're too embarrassed to ask people because you're supposed to know. You've made all this money. You're supposed to know. And so I got into school, and I was that student always raising their hand like, can you say that one more time, please?
Right.
And then I had some good professors later on in my later years of school that I could bring in, like, Guns N' Roses financial statements. I'd black out the numbers.
Right.
But can you help me read this?
Yeah.
Like, help me put this together. And so I was learning things that I needed to learn, like, every day.
That's great.
I was in school. So it really helped me. And
how did the other students treat you? Pretty
was
normal?
It was a very hard school.
Yeah.
That I got into. And so classes were so tough. I cut my hair off. You know, I mean, once in a while, somebody, hey, could you sign? I was much older than them. I was 32, and they were like 19.
Right. Typical college.
So, but, you know, once in a while, hey, I need to do this. Could you sign my CD?
You seem like a very approachable guy. I don't think you would ever shun anybody back. But, I mean, I guess in that situation and surrounding is a little different.
Yeah, it was a small Seattle University, Seattle U, go Red Hawks.
Yeah, there you go.
I think 4,000 students total.
Wow.
We just moved up to Division I, though, in a basketball team.
It's gonna be good.
I'm saying we. No, it was just one of those experiences. Once the thing of like, oh, that guy's a rock band guy, you know. Once that was over,
then everything was okay.
Yeah. Once we were in those classes together talking about. Macroeconomics or whatever. Yeah. All that shine was off.
Right. Yeah. Well, man, I've enjoyed this conversation a lot today. I hope you will get the album and see Duff. The tour's running through, what is it?
We end in this U.S. leg, this June 16th in my hometown of Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
On Father's Day. And then we're going to go off to Europe in August.
Okay.
And I guess the record's doing very well over there. And, that'll be fun to take these guys some places.
Oh, yeah.
They've been there a bunch, but not with like this. It'll be a different thing, and they've told me they're really excited to go there with me.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. It's Duff McKagan, everybody. Make sure you get the album. It's called Tenderness, and see them live, and then I'll see you again in October, man. Back here for the big show, the big crazy show.
For sure, the big crazy shows.
Thank you. And I'm so glad, as a lifelong fan, I mean, that part of your life is back into place again.
It's super
I'm
fun.
So happy to see that.
It's so positive. I mean, the Guns thing, it's just so positive. Everybody's firing on all pistons, and friendships are back, and it's really, really cool. Quite cool.
I speak at school sometimes, like on career day, and the question it always comes like, what's your all-time favorite concert? And I was like, I have to tell you, and I go back to this one every time. It was the Rose Bowl in Pasadena when you guys were touring with Faith No More, Metallica,
right?
And at the time, notoriously coming on, late, and the curfew was at midnight, and everyone's like, whether they come on at 11:30 or whatever, city of Pasadena is pulling the lights at midnight. So you guys came on at 9:00. Almost a 3-hour set. I mean, it was just so amazing. And then at the very end, I think Axl said something like, Los Angeles, you have just been fucking rocked by Guns N' Roses. And he tosses the mic across that football stadium at the Rose Bowl. And it was like time just stood still. And the sound guy left the mic hot. It was like,
yeah.
It's the most cool thing I've ever
He's got
seen.
an arm on him, too.
Oh, really? Yes, he does. That
yeah.
thing went almost to the 50-yard line, man. It was crazy. So, well, thanks for taking some time today, man. I really enjoyed it, dude. And I can't wait to see the show tonight.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.